Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to do me a favor and completely reset your expectations about relationships for a minute. We need to set the scene roughly 50,000 to 200,000 years ago. We're talking about Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, living long, long before cities, houses, or laws ever even existed. These people lived in small, highly mobile nomadic groups of just maybe 20 to 50 individuals. Every single day was a literal battle against starvation, disease, rival tribes, and dangerous predators. Finding a mate in this kind of harsh environment, well, it wasn't about romance or chemistry or having a great sense of humor. It was quite literally a matter of life or death for the entire species. So today we're going to unpack the prehistoric origins of human attraction. And I promise you, what scientists have discovered about how our ancestors mated is going to completely change how you view modern relationships. Think about the massive contrast between our world and theirs. Today, we have all this trivial stuff in modern dating, right? We're swiping on apps, stressing out over the perfect pickup line, or agonizing over planning a cute candlelit dinner. But prehistoric mating entirely stripped all of that away, down to raw wilderness and pure survival. They absolutely didn't have the luxury of casual dating. Every single reproductive choice they made carried the absolute highest stakes imaginable. All right, moving into Section 1, Survival over Romance and the Biology of Attraction. So let's completely strip away everything we know about personality, shared interests, or that spark of emotional chemistry. Because ancient attraction was brutally simple, and it was entirely driven by unconscious biology. Men and women unconsciously evaluated exact physical markers for utility rather than who was objectively good-looking by today's crazy beauty standards. When females evaluated males, a guy who was tall, strong, and physically dominant wasn't just a catch, he was a vital protector. He could hunt larger animals, fight off rival males, and keep the whole group safe. On the flip side, males were unconsciously searching for fertility markers. Wide hips meant an easier childbirth. Clear skin and bright eyes, those were clear signals of youth and a lack of disease. Nobody was consciously sitting around the campfire thinking, wow, I really need to find someone with premium genetics. Their biology was just doing all the thinking for them, making sure the species survived. But wait, it actually goes even deeper than what they could just see. Ancient DNA studies have revealed this absolutely wild fact. Early humans naturally gravitated toward the scent of partners whose immune systems were totally different from their own. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, because kids born from genetically diverse parents end up with much, much stronger immune systems. Your nose was literally doing complex genetic screening for you, and you didn't even have a clue it was happening. Which brings us to Section 2, Prehistoric Pickup Strategies, or Making a Move. So if they didn't have dating apps or awkward social mixers, how did they actually court each other without any modern social constructs? Anthropologists have studied modern tribes living in near prehistoric conditions and actually found a really clear, consistent courtship sequence. Step 1, the males would show off. But instead of flashing an expensive watch or fancy sports car, they showed off with meat and muscle. A successful hunter dragging back a giant animal was displaying extreme value. Honestly, exactly like a peacock fanning its feathers. Step 2 is incredibly important here. Female evaluation. Ancient women were absolutely not passive in this process. They actively observed and evaluated. They deliberately avoided males who were purely aggressive without being protective. They wanted a true partner who could provide and protect. And finally, Step 3, symbolic gifts. Archaeological evidence shows males presenting things like shells, feathers, or carved bones. And these were not romantic gestures. They were primal signals loudly saying, I have access to resources. I am valuable. Choose me. Now, I really want you to think about this for a second. What happens to romance when there is absolutely zero privacy? You've got to lean into the kind of uncomfortable reality here that ancient humans lived in very tight communal campsites. In these reconstructed prehistoric environments, everyone slept together in a single shared space. No separate bedrooms, no walls, no doors whatsoever. Let's get into Section 3, Communal Mating and Hierarchies, and the unwritten rules of the tribe. So yeah, mating was way less private than anything we are used to today. Anthropologists actually believe that early humans, much like our primate cousins the chimpanzees and bonobos, had a highly open communal approach to reproduction. But despite the lack of walls, mating wasn't chaotic at all. It was bound by strict, unwritten social rules. Alpha or high-status males definitely got preferential mating access, but lower-status males weren't completely left out in the cold. They found other highly effective strategies. They'd form strong alliances, provide extra resources, and build long-term loyalty with specific females. Oh, and reproduction was heavily tied to seasonality too. So when food was abundant, reproduction peaked. If these strategies, status, resource providing, alliance building, sound a lot like modern dating dynamics, just stripped of their polish, that's because they absolutely are. And the stakes for breaking these tribal rules were incredibly high, very often resulting in brutal violence or permanent exile from the group.
And this brings up a super fascinating, almost mind-bending complication. Think about it. In a communal mating society without exclusive pair bonding, did ancient fathers even know which kids were theirs? The short answer? Probably not. The whole concept of biological paternity was incredibly blurry for a huge chunk of early human history.
That leads us right into Section 4, It Takes a Village, focusing on the survival of the vulnerable. Since a guy couldn't be 100% certain a child was his, the enormous, exhausting job of raising human babies couldn't just fall on one or two people. It fell on the entire tribe. This brings us to a massively vital survival strategy called alloparenting. This is the communal raising of children by literally everyone in the group: aunts, uncles, older siblings, and even totally unrelated adults. We didn't raise children alone back then. We raised them together. This concept of alloparenting is actually one of the absolute key reasons humans became so incredibly successful as a species. And hey, while we're on the topic of survival, we absolutely have to give a massive shout out to grandmothers. Have you heard of the grandmother hypothesis? Evolutionary biology points out that humans are uniquely special among primates because women live long past the reproductive age. And why is that? To specifically help raise their grandchildren. Their presence provided a massive, undeniable survival advantage to helpless human kids. So evolutionary biology suggests that your grandma is literally one of the main reasons humanity survived at all. How cool is that? All right, Section 5, the invention of love as a biological survival tool. Up until now, it's pretty much been all biology, pure survival, and communal child-rearing. So when did real emotional love actually enter the picture? Well, human babies are uniquely helpless. A baby chimp can cling to its mom almost immediately, right? But a human infant requires years of intensive, completely exhausting care. That level of investment required way more than just the community. It required two fiercely committed caregivers. Because of this, evolution forced a major shift starting about 3.5 million years ago with our earlier ancestors. Fast forward to about 50,000 years ago, and humans were actually forming deeply meaningful emotional connections around the campfire. It turns out, romantic love isn't just some modern societal invention cooked up in poetry or movies. It is an ancient, raw, biological survival strategy heavily reliant on powerful brain chemicals just to keep those helpless babies alive. Evolution basically pushed humans toward emotional bonding by flooding our brains with oxytocin, the love hormone. Our dopamine reward systems became inextricably linked to specific individual partners. Even jealousy. Jealousy evolved as a deeply ingrained psychological mechanism to aggressively protect that pair bond from outside threats. I really want this next thought to just sink in for a second. Modern humans didn't invent love or desire or relationships. We just renamed them. Literally everything you feel today, that sudden spark of attraction across a crowded room, the absolute crushing weight of heartbreak, the sharp sting of jealousy, or the deep, warm comfort of attachment, is simply 200,000 years of evolution speaking directly through you. You are the living, breathing result of every single ancient human who successfully decoded these biological signals, found a mate, survived the harsh wilderness, and passed their genes forward. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought to wrap up this explainer. We've gone from evaluating hunting skills and wide hips around a smoky communal campfire to swiping through highly curated digital profiles on our glowing phones. But the underlying primal pulse, it remains exactly the same. So I want to pose this question to you. Given everything we've explored today, do you think modern dating is more or less complicated than prehistoric mating? Really think about that, reflect on your own evolutionary roots, and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me and keep exploring the fascinating origins of who we are.